Hello everyone and welcome. We're here. Game 2, and I promise we're more ready than we seem. Capedogs Unleashed versus Hawkthorne, managing to take Game 1 over that second seed. Capedogs are looking to continue their lead, and since it's losers pick the side, it's actually Hawkthorne selecting red in this game, and they chose blue the first. Slightly different strats coming out. There's a role swap in there as well. We'll have to see if that trend continues here. Camcom, what are you thinking in draft here in the beginning?
I mean, last quarterfinals, we had blue side 100% win rate. Now they picked blue side, they lost. Now they're picking red side. Maybe this series we're gonna have the 100% win rate on red side. I don't know though. Maybe.
Similar bans coming through. Do you see the Gwen? Now they said CS4 I can't play that anymore. They're gonna get rid of that one. Very effective on that pick in the last game as well. Red side, interesting pickup here for Hawkthorne. I'm wondering if they're looking to re-rotate kind of back to the bottom side and then go for a bottom lane pickup here as their first round draft on red. CDU, of course, if this isn't a Xin Zhao ban, I'd imagine that's what they're picking first here.
Yeah, most likely, as Xin Zhao's not banned, Akali's not banned, Aurelia is not banned, all of these fun, flashy champions, and of course it is going to be that Xin Zhao insta-lock-in for the side of Capedogs, and then matched by that Trundle again. Now Hawkthorne kind of stealing away that Trundle pick, so I guess they did have a lot of problems with that last game.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to lock the Xin Zhao here. This is Paladin Pallycraft's best champions. Again, very strong early presence. Look for more ganks from him this game rather than that counter jungling. Trundle, in my opinion, is a jungle pick that works best on jungle mains.
Yeah.
You saw what Counter was able to do last game. He was constantly on the other side of the map, crossing over that river, stealing away camps and finding a lead for himself. And if you don't understand jungle pathing or what other junglers are supposed to be doing, it's much harder to pull off. So we'll see if they have subbed Arth back in to play this Trundle. But maybe Counters again has been practicing all these different jungle picks. We'll have to see what he does here. They're locking in the Jinx maybe once again here. Capedogs Unleashed like that pick. They got it once again.
Yeah, that Jinx and probably a Lulu as well, as Lulu is left unbanned this game. So Jinx, Lulu, a very safe bot lane. We got to see it pop off last game, and this game matched with Xin Zhao is going to have a little bit more early game presence, especially if Xin Zhao is looking to gank this bot lane as much as Diana did last game.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the Thresh being hovered here, I'm imagining an Aphelios, a Varus, and it's actually gonna be the Vayne. So not what I was expecting. They haven't actually locked the tanks here. So again, this is still a counterable ADC. They could pick more towards these things that can just get on top of the Vayne and delete her. And there hasn't been much protection drafted for this pick. Right here, I'm imagining we're gonna see something like a Karma ban to eliminate any kind of shielding that she can get from a solo laner, as well as if you're looking towards top lane or mid, there aren't really any other supports that they can pick in here. So I would have to guess we're looking at something like a Karma ban and then that's actually gonna be the Malphite. So don't want the Unstoppable Force to force any kind of engagements for the Vayne. Not what I was expecting, but nonetheless, we're moving forward.
Yeah, I think Hawkthorne was actually just listening to you at the end of the game, heard we should have R3'd Vayne here, and that might have given us a little bit more pressure in the laning phase, but then they are 3'd Vayne into currently 0 tanks, so I'm not too sure how that one is going to work out. It seems very similar to the Samira first pick last game, where you're picking this AD carry that usually does force a specific style of comp, but then you're not really drafting around that specific champion, so they need to be picking some champions that will keep her alive, and currently that Thresh and that Trundle, they're the tanks that they need, but hopefully an enchanter or another source of damage can help her out as well.
So was actually going to be the Blanc ban here. Karma's still on the board. I'm thinking that's what they're going to pick up here because they don't have any real true protection for the Vayne other than having, like you said, a beefy front line. When I see the Thresh get locked in when Lulu's on the table, I'm immediately thinking it's going to be one of those immobile ADCs. So the pick kind of confuses me. They may have just done it because they were running out of time and just needed something quick. Also picking it away from It's Talon, who absolutely popped off on it in quarterfinals. We're seeing a very different style here from Capedogs, where they're playing more heavily around this bottom side. And we'll have to see if that trend continues. Will be the set hover here, and actually locked in. So they're opting into the set matchup and giving Daze the counter pick here of his choosing. And I'm imagining he's going to pick another strong laner here that can play well into the set.
Yeah, and like you're saying, Set is just another one of those strong tanks that are going to be surrounding this Vayne, hopefully keeping her alive, and hopefully they will be dropping some AP damage in there for the mid lane, as you do see Capedogs locking in that Ornn, and I'm not too sure about the Ornn Set matchup there, as I do believe it's fairly Set favored, actually.
I would absolutely call set favor. I mean, you can unstoppable through the showstopper, but locking the Ornn when Vayne was locked in so much earlier is a little bit confusing to me. And there's also a Trundle on the table. There's so much anti-tank here on this team. Could be the Vlad as well. So this actually could be an Ornn mid. We have seen Daze play the Vlad, and Sears for Y, like I said, is a very strange mid lane champion pool. So I'd be surprised to see these two flex depending on the matchups here, as now the final pick, the counter for one of these laners being locked in here for Hawkthorne.
Yeah, if you're drafting into a Vladimir and you need AP damage for your mid laner, usually you pick something like a Diana or an Orianna, but they're hovering Echo here, who's kind of just matching that late game damage one-shot scaling, whereas Orianna or Diana has it much safer and doesn't really have to go in just as hard as an Echo does. So Echo, another one of those AP damage threats that can go for those one-shots on Jinx and Lulu, but isn't going to really be there as much to protect his Vayne.
Yeah, I mean, we just didn't have like the protection to protect the Vayne composition. They locked it in, so it might just be counters saying like, "Don't worry, guys, I got this." He's play the hard carry ADC, moving back towards that bottom lane away from jungle, and they do have the Trundle now in the jungle. Gonna be very strong here against the Ornn. Again, if you can get that subjugate off on an aftershock proc, you just become so insanely tanky, and it's beautiful when you just run through the team comp on this Trundle. I will say Capedogs has a better team composition into Trundle. You can, however, pillar the Vlad pool and stop that mobility. There's also the idea that you have two solo lanes and kind of even the bot lane this time that are more based around scaling. And when you when you lock the Zins out, what you're telling your jungler is, all right, we all scale. It's up to you to get us to that point. And it's a lot of pressure here. So really putting Ballycraft on the spot, I'd say, to make sure that they make it to this late and mid game on these champs.
Yeah, they're relying entirely on their Xin Zhao to get these scaling picks ahead, which is not the worst thing in the world, as he can be going for those invades, he can be going for those early ganks and easy snowballs for his laners, but with them not really sharing that same early game damage as he will, is, like you're saying, he's gonna have to be that one that's doing all the damage early game that they're gonna need to get these picks ahead, which later on, he's not gonna be the one doing any damage either, so if he's getting these early kills, then their late game is just not gonna be as strong as it could have been.
On top of that, Crescent Guard, I'm looking at it right now, that Xin Zhao's ultimate will not really do too much in this game. Vayne's maximum range is barely, I think, outside, so she can just step barely in and get those autos off. And then I call it Thresh melee. It's quadra melee coming in here, and they managed to ban out the win, so you don't have that option of playing into that. But really, like, all you can use it for at this point is disengage and trying to force out people who are trying to converge on your team.
Yeah, it's another very short range comp from Hawkthorne, and you're going into Jinx Lulu. Jinx Lulu has so much range between the two of them. Maybe Jinx isn't one of those super long range champions, but when she does get excited, her range, you could almost argue, gets bigger with it as well, just because of how quick she's able to run around and auto you from places that you're just not even able to click fast enough to click her.
Yeah, I mean, it's dangerous, right? This is a pop-off team composition. Once again, looking to dive the Jinx, but I'd say they have less dive pressure this game than they did last game. Diana is a little bit better at blowing up that single target, and they still have the Polymorph available to nullify the Echo's ability to get out safely from a team fight after a dive. So again, looking at Hayat's talent to utilize that Polymorph as effectively as possible and keep this Jinx alive once again, but they gotta get to the point where it's worth keeping the Jinx alive.
Yeah, and Lulu, you can keep your Jinx alive, or if your Vladimir gets ahead, you can also be keeping him alive. It's a little bit worse to have a mage to be protected by a Lulu than an AD carry just because of how her W functions, but still very, very strong if Vladimir does get ahead, just because he's never going to die with huge fire on him.
Yeah, I mean, just so much sustain, so much damage. I think it's hard to argue, but I'd say that Capedogs is a team that wins in a choke, just because of the Ornn Call of the Forge God being able to ram everyone all at once with that. They drop a Hemoplague on top of that. It's so much AoE damage and CC. That's been really hard for Hawkthorne to win in that situation. I'd say Hawkthorne wins in a little bit more scrappy skirmishes, where, there aren't as many targets to focus down this Vayne as you would like. But again, I'm kind of curious. And look, here it is. Arth sub back in, counters back into the bottom lane, so it will be him back on that Vayne. He's the legendary AD carry here amongst the light league players. Really looking to see what he can do here against Audacious.
Finally, not an autofill jungler. Thank goodness. I'm assuming Counters does play jungle, but for the sake of this argument, you're jungling against someone who actually does play jungle, so you might as well be autofilled. So thank goodness Counters will be back there in the bot lane. And having, like you're saying, that main jungler gives them all that synergy that they've had building up in this season so far to get them as far as second seed. And now they get to actually use it in their semifinals match. Is going to be much stronger than they had at game 1. So hopefully, like you're saying, with this late game comp that they've drafted is going to help them a little bit in the early game, as usually synergy can carry you a little bit.
Also, yeah, I mean, on the note of autofill junglers, I hadn't actually seen, I think it was Madam, I'm blanking on the full name, but it was Madam something. I'd never seen them get subbed in before. So that was another first for me. But I'm looking at Counters back on the Vayne. This is Counters' perfect setup. It's the dream for him. He wants to be the guy who's got to do the damage on this team. He wants to be like the one person that everyone's playing around. And with Arth being on the Trundle, it's gonna be harder to set up those ganks in the bottom lane. But also Pillar's really good against carries like Jinx who don't have a gap closer to get over it or any kind of speed ups. So you're relying entirely on those traps to stop any kind of engagement. And if she's not careful, it'll be a Pillar condemned combo, and then into a Thresh hook. There's almost no way you can escape from that.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and predict a team here, as we didn't have any predictions game 1 actually. So game 2, I do really like Capedogs comp. You do mention how easy it is to pick off Jinx, but Jinx is not the only carry on this team. Vladimir and Daze up there in the top lane, assuming that they're not role swapping the two champions. Most likely will be Daze up there on top, and Vladimir, he's another very strong win condition, and you're not gonna be picking Vlad out when he's untargetable in his W. So I'm gonna be going with Capedogs for taking game 2.
It's a tough call for me, but I think with the power of the Trundle and the power that Counters has, I actually like this composition better. Being able to strip Series4Y of those resistances, being able to use that Pillar so effectively against every single member on this team who actually can't get through it. Series4Y, you could argue you can break the Pillar and walk through it, but really you don't want to be using that cooldown on the Pillar itself. So looking towards the bottom lane, looking towards this Trundle, we'll have to see if Hawkthorne can find what they need to beat out this insane team fighting composition that Capedogs has built up.
Same team fight composition. If they do get to that 20, especially that 30-minute mark, team fights are almost always going to be going to Capedogs, as long as they're not like 3 inhibitors down by the time that point hits, is they're going to have a very strong lead just based on champion base stats in that later stages of the game, whereas on Counters, he's kind of the only late game threat that Hawkthorne even has, is the Echo. More of like a mid-game, maybe assassin type. He's not really playing for those same team fights that especially Counters is looking for.
Yeah, I mean, if this doesn't, you need the early dragons, you need the soul here if you're Hawkthorne. Capedogs, I feel like, continuously play these compositions that even if they fall behind, they don't need soul. They just need to play evenly with you long enough for their champions to take off. And this is another composition that will do just that. As long as they can deny one dragon early, they will be in a great spot to come back in this game.
We will be going to a short break right before we head into game 2 in the Summoner's Rift, so don't click anywhere. We'll be right back with game 2 for you.
We are back on the Rift. Capedogs unleashed with the 1-game lead over Hawkthorne Esports here, looking to continue that to the 2-0, reach that match point, and close out the series. Hawkthorne looking for their first win here, and they've got Counters rotated back into the bot lane to make it happen.
Yeah, 1-0 up in this best of 5, and like you're saying, Hawkthorne Esports, they had that substitute in the jungle, and they threw their ADC in the jungle, then they had the substitute in the AD carry role, and now they've got the main roster back, everyone is on their main role, and you've even got Counters on his classic Vayne pick in the bot lane there, so should be a very exciting game 2 for us.
Might be looking at a role swap here, actually. It's been everywhere. It's going around these days, as quite literally, speaking of that, Daze moving on towards mid lane here on the Vlad, and it's actually Series4Y rotating top on the Ornn. So we'll have to see if they can play their lane assignments as effectively as they did in game 1. Could be funky matchups here. Is it a lane swap? I can't tell anymore. Series4Y is going back mid. Looks like it's been nullified.
I mean, Days played so well first game where he almost tripled Godzilla's CS, and then with that lead, he somehow kept finding kills for himself around the neutral objectives. So I would definitely like to think that he is playing that top lane role, which now that the waves have come into the lanes, I do like to think that he is playing top lane.
So will be the top side start here for Panic Dingo. This being on the Xin Zhao tells me he wants to play for bot lane here. And bot lane has actually fake leashed as well, just now getting back into lane. So they should be able to sniff, or they in theory should be able to sniff this one out. There isn't any vision there down in the jungle either. So Panic Dingo could just go for the blue, Gromp, red clear, and then look for an immediate gank bot lane.
Yeah, and hey, it's Talon also missed the first 3 minions of experience, so he's going to be hitting level 3 fairly late, especially compared to his Jinx, who will actually be hitting it much earlier than both Counters and Maddie. So it is a little bit of a strat there just to get your ADC ahead early, but your support will be pretty behind. But other than that, not much happening bot lane, like you're saying. Could have an early bot lane gank from Panic Dingo, but he did opt to clear his wolves, which does kind of signify he's just going for a full clear top to bot.
Yeah, so this bot lane, I'm going to say, is super explosive. Looking at the matchup, oh, I might have actually cut myself off here, as it might be a potential meet in the river here.
Yeah, both junglers are level 3. Panic Dingo has a large lead over Arth, though, in every department other than the HP, as he is forced to flash away, and now serious for why. He's going to be taken down for the sins of his jungler, and that is first blood for Arth.
You know what hurts the most there? Panic Dingo had the knock-up on the 3 Talon Strike ready, he just didn't commit for that last auto. May have been exactly what they needed to finish the kill there onto Arth, but ultimately it's Ornn going down early, burns Flash, burns Teleport, and Panic Dingo being forced out of this topside jungle.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to mention earlier on when they were starting on opposite sides, but they are going to be trading these scuttles, and Panic Dingo didn't even have to be there for that top scuttle, as he knew he didn't have mid-prio, so you can see just how much damage, though, Serious for Why does on this Ornn, is he almost completely chunked out Hardstuck, and other than that, Arth chasing him down a little bit, but also taking half his HP bar, and Panic Dingo really just wants to take the spot scuttle for himself, but Maddie roaming up just to deny him that second scuttle.
Man, that hurts. You're playing the Ornn, you're looking for that last knockup to get your jungler in range, and your own pillar is what stops you. Wasn't able to close the distance there to knock up Arth, and then no follow-up there from Panic Dingo, as no flashes available on this mid-jungle duo. And that will be, like he said, scuttle going over to this bottom lane, so a lot denied here for Panic Dingo, kind of feeling the hurt here on the other side of the Trundle versus Xin Zhao matchup.
Yeah, Panic Dingo, he's playing that champion, like you said, that wants to 3 camp into a gank, and he was kind of setting up that in the bot lane, but then he took his wolves and tried to play for a top scuttle that he had no prio for, and now he's really paying the price. Double scuttled, his mid laner died, as well as both of them using all their summoners. Yes, they got both the summoners from Arth and Hardstuck, but that's not really worth for getting double scuttled on an early game jungler like Xin Zhao.
Ooh, he just recalled on the warp, which means this little gank will be jumping in for Arth.
Arth, he does not have that flash available, but the hook is going to land onto Yoda immediately into Condemn. That is not going to be anywhere left to run for Yoda, as he does burn that flash right before going down.
Yeah, that's the possibly the worst possible time to burn the flash, when you've already been hooked, pillared, condemned into a wall. There's no chance to just get them on. Yoda just burns the flash, and this will be the 5-minute dragon once again going over to Hawkthorne.
Yeah, Hawkthorne, they do have very nice early dragon scaling if they are able to continue taking these dragons, and Infernal is probably one of those better first dragons as well. It's not something like a Cloud or even a Mountain where getting ultimate CDR isn't really helpful when you're not even level 6 yet.
Back in the top lane. Slight CS lead here for Days once again. Not, I'm going to say it, as severe as last game. We'll have to see if he can continue to find success up here. As with the bottom lane gank going so favorably in the favor of Hawkthorne, I'm imagining we're going to see some top lane and mid lane play here from Panic Dingo on the Xin Zhao. Really hard to justify going towards that bottom lane when they've fallen just this far behind. It will be the pickaxe versus the Berserker's Greaves for the Vayne, and it's actually teleport behind right now.
We have both teleport teleports coming down the bot lane from Hawkthorne Esports. They really want this pick on the Hayes talented Yodas. You can see just how overextended they are. They wanted that play, and they might just have to pay their life for it as Hardstuck. He's taking his whole HP bar. He's gonna have to burn his ultimate on the Echo and Yoda. He is running out. TP coming in from Daze from the top lane as well. Hopefully this bot lane is actually gonna survive. So far, they've only gotten both of the summoners out for them, and no kills is now Daze. He's going in with that ultimate, and other than that, there's just no damage available. Hayes Talon walks a little bit too far. That kill's gonna go down to Maddie as Yoda. He's trying to kite away. One more auto is gonna find the kill for counters though. Now Daze looks around, looks at his team, realizes he has no team, and realizes he's about to get domed from Arth as well. No life left for him as Arth picks up a kill on the backside for himself.
Hawkthorne Esports on the double TP bot play. They see the overextension, they got the deep ward, and they just come down and clean house here. Daze tried to teleport to compensate there, but ultimately, you just don't have the damage this early on the Vlad. Wasn't able to burst down anyone, and the biggest thing here was the minion level up for Hardstuck Brother, saving his life and stopping Jinx from getting excited in that team fight, as he's able to ult right before going down there.
Yeah, the team fight looked so good for Capedogs for so long, especially, I mean, even before Daze teleported in, but especially after he teleported in, it looked so good, and then unfortunately, Hayes Talon just walked a little bit too far forward on that Lulu, and then he got picked off, and now Yoda, he traps himself a little bit too close, and now Yoda, you got no flash, you got no damage. That kill gonna be going down to Arth, as if this hook does land, they could be looking for another kill on the Hayes Talon as well, but so far, doesn't really look like they've got enough CC to lock him down.
Yeah, that's brutal. You see the Thresh on low health, you're thinking like, ooh, we can get some rebuttal kills here. Walk towards it, no more vision left as Thresh just cleared out the ward in the bush, and then there's a Trundle that shows up right on time, jumping into the fight. For Yoda falls once again here in the bottom lane, 0-3 on the Jinx. Definitely struggling much harder here against the more natural setup of counters and Matty Mice.
Yeah, this is the classic super-powered early game that Hawkthorne does like to bring. Last game, they didn't get to bring it whatsoever with the substitutes in the places of their main roster, but now we do get to see them being 6-0 up on Capedogs, around 2,000 gold lead as well as now Hardstuck. He could be looking for 1v1 here in the mid lane. He does have an ultimate available if he does want to go for a dive, which is definitely very possible, but Panic Dingo, he's here. He's not level 6 quite yet, though, so counter gank is going to be very strong from Arth if they do look for a dive.
Yeah, 4-0 here on the Trundle, and they're actually looking at the dive right now. They're going to be able to find the stun. No, gets flashed.
Oh, serious. He lives for just long enough to find the airborne onto both of the members of Hawkthorne. They looked for the double tower dive. They weren't able to find it.
That's absolute tragedy. Shutdown gold here going over to the Xin Zhao. You see the gold lead cut in half here just by those 2 kills alone. That's a big shutdown for Panic Dingo, but what else can he do with it?
He found the shutdown. He got the level 6 off that play as well, so he does still have his ultimate available if he does want to go for this kill onto Godzilla, but unfortunately, you can't gank a set from behind. That's just the champion's buff right there. You can't go in from behind.
Yeah, walking through the tower range, I mean, like, when you see the set, your one option that you have is to just immediately dash at him and hope that he doesn't press R in time. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen there. They're able to pick him up. You got the bot lane counter jungling your red. You got top laners stopping you from being able to take the Herald. Good setups here and good reason from Hawkthorne to take as much as they can away here from Capedogs.
Yeah, and that is the problem with trying to go for a tower dive up there on the set, as you're expecting to lose your whole bot side. They stole your Krugs, they stole your red buff. The only thing you got left up is those chickens, and not really worth it for a failed dive up top, as he does still have a Spittle and a Herald available if he does want to go for it. But Cloud Dragon spawning in just a few seconds, and they do need to deny that Cloud, or not Cloud, just the soul point to Hawkthorne if they do want to stall out this game long enough for Yoda to scale up.
And despite all of that, it's still a big CS lead here top for Daze. 30 CS up against the set. So hasn't been able to find much success off the back of these TP plays. This Dragon will be going down here as well for Hawkthorne, but through all that, they got a rock here in the top lane. Daze has played phenomenally so far in these first 2 games. There'll be the rebuttal here from Panic Dingo, of course, trying to find something across the map. And we're seeing this, what feels like a familiar setup to the game 1. Capedogs Unleashed, trying to pick up Rift Heralds, allowing Hawkthorne to go for Dragons, but feels like they're just in a worse spot than they were last game.
Yeah, they certainly are, as Capedogs was the team last game where they were super ahead early, and yes, they didn't have the 2 dragons to their name, but later on, it didn't matter as they outscaled so hard anyway, and then they were able to secure the win in game 1 with that, and now game 2, they've got the same relatively strong scaling comp. It's just in the early game, they've fallen very far behind as now Maddie goes for the flash hook, finds it onto Hayet's talent, and counters, able to pick up that kill in Serious for why teleports in maybe a little bit too late there to stay to support as they're still trying to go for this kill into counters. He is all alone and he will flash away, and it does look like he will be able to walk out with that one even despite having no mana available.
Hawkthorne has been setting these dives so well, but I'm gonna cut myself off. It's a fight in the top lane once again.
In the top lane as Day is forced to flash away, it does look like he will be able to walk that one out, only having to burn his flash and his ult, which are fairly big cooldowns, especially early on for this Vladimir.
I'm just looking at great gank setups and just all around map positioning here from Hawkthorne. Always rotating down here towards this bottom lane. You had the double TP earlier, a great setup here from Hardstuck Brother, a great flash hook from Matty Mice, and they're just picking up kill after kill on this bottom lane duo. You actually had the CC combo so hard onto Hayet's Talon, wasn't even able to get the Hugify off despite being level 6 there and having it up.
Yeah, now Days looks like so close to getting killed again in that 1v1 as he does get the ultimate out from Godzilla, but not wanting to commit a slash, especially not knowing where that jungler is from Panic Dingo, is very dangerous to try and find a 1v1 there.
Ooh, and yeah, speaking of the jungler, here's Arth in the top lane. Will get spotted out by that ward, picking it up, will reveal him, of course. It's Panic Dingo probably looking to just, eat the Herald mid here, pick up some plates with it while they still can, get a little bit more gold back in their pockets.
Any gold on Serious for Y is going to be gold very well spent, as any gold on him is gold for the whole team with this passive that will be proccing in a few levels. As now we do see a fight. They're trying to pick out Arth here, trying to go for that top scuttle as they're committing the flash, they're committing the teleport as well. Day's finally able to pick up back kill as now Hardstuck ulting only for the damage and then immediately forced to walk out his counters. He's exhausted, not doing any damage. The tower taking so much of it for itself as he's going to luckily be able to survive as just the tower not doing it as well.
The entire team of Capedogs. Oh wait, it's not over yet.
Oh no, Counters looking for this fight onto Yoda, but does not have a support with him as that shutdown is going to be going over to Hayet's Talent.
Yeah, interesting stuff there. Polymorph just instantly onto the Vayne. A little bit of a no-brainer there for Hayet's Talent. Just sees the ADC being low and running on in and says, yeah, alright, I'll take you out. But now potentially in trouble here. That'll be a good disengage.
Almost,
yeah. But yeah, it was the entire team of Capedogs saying, converging for Shelly, protect the present to get those 2 plates down, finding a few more here in top lane, and a great fight for them in the middle lane will nullify the gold lane completely. We're back to an even game here despite being down 2 dragons.
Yeah, even game, but despite being down 2 dragons, it's very rough for Capedogs as they are the ones that are trying to scale and currently having it at around a 21-minute soul point or soul for Hawkthorne is not really where you want that soul timer to be placed for Capedogs when you're trying to get Yoda to scale up, you're trying to get Serious up to his level 13 spike, and even Days does need more time to scale. Is currently sitting only on 1 item, that being that proto belt for Vladimir. Not really gonna have a whole lot of damage for these team fights around these super early soul points.
You can actually look at the gold now, and despite having 4 kills, it's actually Palicraft Panic Dingo on the Zinzao who's above gold on this Trundle. Just better farm, still has a kill and 2 assists to his name, so has a little bit going there for himself. But that's where the, like, in my mind, the gold lead was existing here for Hawkthorne, and there's just actually nothing there.
Yeah, you would think that they have much bigger gold lead than they really do, but with only 2 dragons to their name, not really going to have a whole lot of Serious. He's just run down. I wasn't even expecting him to die as that kill is just going to go down to Arth. I really did think Serious was just going to walk that one out.
Yeah, Arth straight up pillared him out of his dash, so he was trying to get away from the gank as soon as he spotted out the tunnel, but it was just too late. Really good interrupt there from Arth. Oh, that's not great.
Maddie! Boss code into Panic Dingo, immediately gonna get polymorphed, not allowed to walk whatsoever. He does get knocked up into just all the damage coming out from Yoda. Yoda finally able to pick up his first kill of the game. That scaling pick that Capedogs really needs to be scaled up. Finally gonna have a little bit more gold in their pocket as TP comes in from Godzilla, but I don't really think there's a dive to be had in the bot lane.
Yeah, that's rough. You just got betrayed by Blast Cone, but not sure who threw the auto there, but that hurts to see. when you get thrown into 3 enemies there on this Thresh, so they try to come in and save him, burn the TP as well, but the dragon is up, so it might not be entirely wasted here.
Yeah, they do have this control over the dragon up until they walk away from it and give all control over to Capedogs, who has Daze up in this top lane, faking having teleport up as well, so he's just getting a completely free split push off right now, while his team, Capedogs, they're taking the first Mountain Dragon, stalling out that soul point, which is exactly what they need to try and win this game.
Alright, we got 2 PSAs on the day. Leash your dogs and time your summoner spells. Daze didn't have TP there. They could have opted for the 4 versus 4. Decided ultimately just to back away. They could have even had the rotation from the base, as Godzilla was forced top lane here. Doesn't have TP of his own, as he was forced to burn it to get to bottom lane to try and save the poor Thresh who got yeeted over the wall there. But ultimately, they stopped the Dragon Snowball here, now pulling just ever so slightly ahead in gold. I mean, really, I'd say is a negligible amount. But they're back in this game. They stopped the Soul Snowball, got one Ocean Drake, Mountain Drake to their name, and Orin will be very happy to have that in his pocket.
Yeah, I think you could call that a little bit of a blast cone diff, as Yoda, he didn't have a kill beforehand, and now having a kill is gonna be very big on this Jinx. As you can see, he's almost able to run down Hardstuck, who is exhausted. One more auto might do it. Yoda does have an ultimate available, but you can't land an ult onto an Echo who does have a Z up, as Hardstuck almost being taken down despite being one of the very ahead numbers of Hawkthorne, is showing how much one kill can do for a Jinx.
That was so close. Even almost turning around the damage just with that ultimate underneath the tower was very dangerous there for Yoda and Heia's Talon. But kind of got the no you there in the bottom lane. It happened earlier to Yoda where he walked into a bush thinking it was just being a low HP Thresh in there, and it actually turned out there was a Trundle behind him. And this time it's an engagement under the tower for Hardstuck Brother, but it turns out there's a Lulu behind him. We got maybe a fight around this Herald coming up here, but looks like everyone just wants to walk out of this one.
Yeah, this is a second tier Rift Herald. It isn't really worth completely fighting over, especially if you are behind, which currently Capedogs is behind theoretically on the gold lead, but they're ahead at this point in the game. As you can see just how much pressure Yoda has, with only 3 or 4 autos can take almost anyone on Hawkthorne Esports down to about a quarter HP, so you're not really going to be winning any team fights at this point despite being down gold.
I just need to be careful. I mean, they're still looking to try and scale up here. Arth forces away CS for why there won't be a flank available. I think one thing that Capedogs has going for them here is the Call of the Forge God. It's such a strong ultimate in the game. Whenever you see Ornn on the field, you know that that team just gets to press the go button whenever they want to. And I mean, so far in this game, they haven't wanted to because, you know, again, they're a skill and comp. They're still trying to get there. But once they hit that point, they can just choose the fights. If there's one person caught out,
no.
but oh no!
Oh no! Oh, face checking bushes, man. That oh man, that's painful.
Yeah, you hate to see it. I mean, like, it wasn't even a true face check. He was just so far away, but it was an insane hooky from Manimice to set that one up.
Yeah.
And now more trouble. Nope, he's
Okay.
totally good.
Whew, he can breathe safely. He makes it out in time with this recall. He could have even almost been argued to push another wave in, as he had a lot of time to recall there. It didn't look like he did, but he actually did.
Panic Dingo trying to get some jungle for himself. Arc just completely bowling him out, doing what Trumbull does, especially when this far ahead. 6 and 2 here. It's gonna be tough to try and duel for anyone here on the side of Capedogs.
Yeah, Hawkthorne, they've done a really good job of suffocating Capedogs out from their jungle. As you can see, Panic, he was very ahead in the early game, and he is still very ahead of Arth. As you can see, he's still very ahead in CS. It's just in kills, not so much, as he's not really allowed to farm his jungle anymore at this point, and is only allowed to right now thanks to Daze having so much pressure in this top lane. As you can see, he's able to walk up and do so much damage to Hardstuck. Just, he's got to look for the full engage and the full commitment if he really wants to go for any kills.
Do you have the Rift Herald in the pocket still? Did manage to pick up that last neutral objective. So kind of just looking to throw that down whenever they get a chance. But really it's, I mean, with no plates on the map, what you want to do is get a pick and then use it to try and hit 2 towers or take 2 towers with. But just with the positioning and posturing here from Hawkthorne, I don't think it's going to be possible for Capedogs to be able to do that.
Yeah, Capedogs Capedogs really doesn't have any vision control. You can see they have 2 pink boards currently on the map, both of them in the top side and both of them in a defensive line. As now TP coming in from behind, Hardstuck has the flank if he wants to go for it. Yoda getting so much damage off, completely free autoing up until Hardstuck finally goes in with the flank, forcing that flash out from Yoda. Is now Matty Mice, he's taking down Solo. Daze picking up that first kill of the fight, and the ultimate coming out from Godzilla, not even allowed to do damage as he's immediately taken down. As now Yoda, he's been allowed to free hit, and now he's allowed to walk away as Hardstuck, he had the flank and unfortunately didn't have enough time to go in with the damage.
Yeah, everyone on Capedogs just manages to split up. They completely scatter and survive. There was also in the middle of that team fight a really good interrupt and call the Forge out, which would have made this a dominant fight for Capedogs. In the end, despite managing to stop that key ultimate of theirs, they find so much and nothing gets traded back. Now picking up their second dragon of the game here will be 2 Earth Dragons in their pocket. Orange getting tankier and tankier. You do have the Trundle to nullify some of that, and of course trade damage from Vayne to nullify that. But still, this is not what you want if you're Hawkthorne. You were so close to being able to snowball this dragon, and you're just not finding the fights at the right times on the map in order to truly complete that snowball and pick up that soul.
Yeah, Capedogs, they've successfully equalized these dragons. There's no such thing as a dragon lead anymore now. It's just who's going to get that third and eventually that fourth soul point for themselves. You can see Hawkthorne, they've got a sneaky Baron angle. I don't think Capedogs even knows this is here, as nobody walked over any vision. And Sirius, he could walk in, but I do think that with counters being Vayne, they're going to do enough damage before they even realize that they're on the Baron.
Yeah, this is so sneaky. You got both solo laners out and about in vision. Really makes you think that this Baron isn't possible, but with this Trundle being so far ahead and Vayne just existing, they're able to pick this one up. That's Baron going over. No one falling as a result. It's completely for free. And here's Hawkthorne on another power play. We'll see what they can do with this Baron lead.
Yeah, they were able to pick up a 1,000 gold lead just by taking the Baron, and they did lose their bot lane tier 3 tower for it, but I mean, you got a Baron, and now you could definitely look to be taking some of those tier 2 towers out from Capedogs, which will lead to even more of that jungle suffocation that they've been really showing very strongly in this series so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gonna be tough. They gotta hold against this Baron. Could opt into the 5 versus 5 as it's kind of what their team composition is built for. But Jinx isn't at that key 2-item spike, or you call it the 3-item spike, but even at the 2-item spike, she doesn't have that second item to really boost those damage numbers up, go for those AoE rockets with the Runin's Hurricane. So falling a little bit behind here, they have to get this Jinx that last item, I think, before they go for another fight.
Yeah, like you're saying, Jinx, she's still 1.5 items, whereas Counter sitting at 2 is going to be much stronger than Jinx's, as that hook is going to land on Panic Dingo, but he's so tanky right now on this Sin Sao. Currently, he's just been building tank for Yoda, as he knows he's not really going to be the one dealing damage as Hardstuck. He's looking for the flank angle again, and he is going to find it, but it's onto Sirius as Godzilla takes almost his entire HP bar. Meanwhile, the bot lane of Capedogs, CC'd up, not able to do any damage, but Sirius, it doesn't even matter as he's the massive Ord. Meanwhile, Hardstuck somehow finding a triple kill onto Echo as he did so much damage to the bot lane, and then finding the kill back onto Panic as well. Absolutely huge, but in the end, it is Hawkthorne ending the fight 2 kills up onto Go.
These team fights are crazy. There's always just so much happening in all of them. And right in that one, it was all Hardstuck, brother. Massive Echo ultimate to clean up the fight. Finds the quadra kill amidst everything. And despite Call the Forge God landing onto 3 there in that fight, Yodacious and Hades Talon fall too early to really find any damage. Inhibitor goes down. The Baron power play works out here for Hawkthorne. And now they can look to secure this next dragon off the back of this inhibitor being down.
Yeah, Hawkthorne, they had the early game lead. They didn't really have the mid game, and now with that secret Baron power play, has found such a strong lead, finally back in that 3,000 gold lead that they had before, and now they're back at it once again, very strong, taking that early inhibitor as well.
Yeah, the big ouch here for Capedogs is just now, Yoda's got the Runeans. If they had that in that fight, it may have been the key difference maker, as those health bars exchanged or were actually super low at the end of that fight. But oh, here it comes. Here's for Y in trouble.
Serious, you can't 1v1 Vayne at this point anymore. He's the only tank on the team, but he's getting 1v1'd by the Vayne, and in the end, it's going to be Hardstuck going to pick up the kill instead.
Baron now out. It is Daze on the split push, but 4 versus 1. I do believe that he's going to be forced to recall here to deal with this push from the side of Hawkthorne. Is Panic Dingo the only member to arrive just for now? But we get an engagement here actually from Heartstrike, bro. They want to fight them.
He finds the engage down onto Panic Dingo, just being hooked up into the entire team, not doing any damage whatsoever. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Daze trying to find this 1v1 onto Arth underneath the tower, takes almost his entire HP bar and is just forced to walk away. Meanwhile, he's losing his base. They're about to lose their second inhibitor, this bot lane inhibitor, Hawkthorne, looking to just secure this game 2 for themselves.
Disaster here for Capedogs. They're trying to find something here, but a great flash hook. Matty Mice finds him underneath the tower.
Onto Yoda. Hawkthorne, they're taking this team fight. They're taking both inhibitors. Counter finds another kill down onto Hey It's Talon, and they're looking to take this game to ending, or not ending this series, but currently 1-1 in this series.
Man, what an ending here from Hawkthorne. So explosive with it. They just find 2 good team fights and turn that into a game 2 win here. Find the Nexus, find the fights, and we got the beginnings of a series on our hand here.
Oh yeah, now it's just a best of 3. Who takes the next 3 games? We've got a real series on our hands. Like you're saying, it's not going to be a 3-0 at this point. Both teams sitting 1-1. Who's going to win this end of best of 3?
The real winner here is Switch Chat, who doesn't have to have their ears bleed from me rapping live here on broadcast. We will be heading into draft here in just a little bit as these teams take a quick breather. Talk about strats, talk about lane swaps. We'll see if that happens again in this next set. But we'll be jumping into semifinal game number 3 here on Excellency Esports 2. Stay tuned.